How does Carson Wentz affect the Commanders' offensive skill players? That and much more coming up on tonight's episode of the Mailbag Show. But Victoria, start us off. We got Carson Wentz here. Is this a good, a bad, a neutral? I mean, is he really any better than Taylor Heineke? Start us off.
Oh, this is how I feel. Blech. Okay, but let's talk about the quarterback free agency landscape. Was not that great to begin with, right? I mean, it's not that great. So the Commanders did what they could for their new name with old guy quarterback. Okay, so I don't love it, but they had Heineke last season, right? Fitz before that, everyone was way more excited for Fitz coming in with that injury. That was very unfortunate, but it's almost a wash for me. I'm not gonna lie. I think maybe a slight upgrade in Wentz, but I'm not walking around over here all excited for my man Antonio Gibson. I'm not hyped for Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 1 season. Never gonna happen. Just kidding. That was really, really mean. But I mean, I am a little bit more excited for the pass catchers. I'm excited for some dump offs from Wentz. I feel like Heineke kind of had twinkle toes and like to toss the ball and toss an interception a lot of the time, trying to win the game there. So, Gibson might see a little more checkdowns, but with the news with McKissic coming back to the Commanders, that kind of deflated all of our Antonio Gibson hopes, and James will talk about that later. But it's kind of a wash for me. Honestly, I'm not too excited, but could they have done better? I don't know. Y'all, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, I don't have like an objective list of ranking every single quarterback in the NFL, but it feels like they went from like the 28th worst starter to like the 25th worst starter. Like, I don't know if it was really that much of an upgrade, but Troy, let's hear it from you, man. I mean, is Carson Wentz, is he going to unlock Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas season?
Unlock is a very strong word. Let's calm down a bit there. But I say that I feel the same way. I feel like it's kind of a net neutral, right? It's like, okay, like maybe a tiny bit of upgrade, but it's like, again, he should be targeting Terry McLaurin. He's still the wide receiver 1, dump off to Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's still the RB1. The kid's is going to get work in. And Curtis Samuel's kind of the X factor. We'll see how much he plays into it. Logan Thomas, I believe. Yeah, so it's like, to me, the way I see it, I'm like, everyone's kind of the same. Like, no one gets a huge upgrade. No one gets a huge downgrade. So, yeah, to me, I'm valuing everyone pretty much the same as I did last year.
Yeah, so Terry McLaurin, high-end wide receiver 2. Antonio Gibson, probably at that fringe RB1, RB2 area. Logan Thomas, you're hoping for touchdowns here and there. But, I don't think Wentz really moves the needle all that much. It's kind of hard to get excited about Wentz after seeing what he did last year in Indianapolis. But anyway, want to welcome everybody back to another episode of the Mailbag Show. It has been a while. We're bringing you an episode this week to cover some of the free agency frenzy that is going on right now. And then we'll be back post NFL draft to do another episode and talk about some of these rookie landing spots and how you should look at those. And then we'll be getting back into it. So excited to be sitting down again with Victoria and Troy. We've grown the YouTube channel quite a bit since our last show. So Victoria, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody? Just let them know where they can find you on social media and all that fun stuff.
Yes, I'm so excited to be back with you guys. This feels like we never left, and my face already hurts from smiling. I'm not gonna lie. You can find me on Twitter at FFB_Victoria. Also the same handle on Instagram. Haven't been as active there, but we'll get it popping there again in a little bit.
And then we got Troy King as well, the other co-host on the show. Just so you guys know, if you're new to this show, ramping up to the season and then in season every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. You can submit your questions to mailbag@footballguys.com. You can send them to us on Twitter, or you can join live in the chat to drop those questions. So start dropping them now and we'll get to them at the end of the show. But Troy, why don't you introduce yourself to anybody who doesn't know who you are already?
What's up, everybody? I'm Troy King. You can find me on every social media platform, pretty much Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all at T King mode. I'm not hard to find. Twitter's my home base, but if you want to, talk to me on other platforms, follow me. I'm going to talk back, and we're going to have some fun.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. We got some fun questions here. So much movement happening, and I'm happy that we're doing a live show because I just did a pre-recorded show, and I'm like, by the time this airs on Friday morning, who knows what's going to change, but we are live. We're giving our up-to-the-minute reaction. We can even talk about Von Miller at the end of the show if we want to, but let's go ahead and start off with this question from Will Hubbard saying, how are you valuing Cam Akers in a 1QB dynasty league? Troy, Cam Akers showed a lot of promise at the end of his rookie year, tore his Achilles heading into year 2, and didn't seem to have much juice in the playoffs. How are you feeling about Akers in a single QB dynasty league?
His ceiling, he's probably going to be a high-end RB2. Like, that's where I feel like he's probably high to mid, but I feel like his ceiling is a high RB2, right? Because like last year, obviously he was coming off the injury, so he's going to be fair, but he didn't look great. And we're hoping that, with this off season, next season, he looks more like the rookie Cam Akers that flashed. So that's what I'm hoping for. And he was also a product of volume, right? He was getting all the work. So we're expecting him to get all the work this upcoming season. So I believe, yeah, he could. And then, again, that Rams offense is very friendly. They run the ball a lot. They run the ball a lot when they're near the end zone. So he could maybe sneak into that back end RB1, but I think that's a little optimistic. I feel comfortable saying he's going to be a high end RB2. I'm going to give him that.
Yeah, I think that, it's very reasonable that he finishes as an RB1, but it's really, really tough to rank him there right now. Yeah. So, Victoria, what do you have to add to this? I mean, how are you feeling about Cam Akers heading into next year?
Not much. I feel pretty similarly to Troy. I'm less of a dynasty. You know how I feel about dynasty. So I'm already thinking about a redraft here. But dynasty wise, yeah, I mean, he's kind of in that. At least we saw what he could do coming off that injury. We have a few games sample, right? As Dave, you already mentioned that it was just okay. I feel like that first game back, everyone was so excited. He kind of popped a little bit. And then really just started to fade up to the Super Bowl. It was quite odd a little bit. They leaned on Sony Michel a lot there in those last couple of games. So I'm always thinking with Sony kind of in the back of my mind, if he's staying there, that we can't really discredit running backs anymore for being in a committee, because how many bell cow running backs do we even have left in the league, right? So we gotta be looking out for Akers, because they're maybe easing him back in. We don't want to take that small game, 4 or 5 game sample from him and just say, well, he was, he kind of fell off at the end there. That might help with his ADP for us, for redraft and for dynasty too, and kind of like devaluing what you have to give up to get him. I'd be trying to acquire him still, because we've seen the Rams put the ball in the running back's hands year after year. When McVay is back, I still have faith in him. I don't think we're going to see Sony taking over again. I still have faith in Akers for next year and beyond.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how quick the narrative changed on Cam Akers, right? Like, he came back from injury and everyone was like, this is insane. This is a miraculous recovery. Nobody expected that to happen. And then he plays, less than what we expected. And everyone's like, oh, well, he's, just busted. Let's not forget about the fact that this man returned from an Achilles tear in about 4 months. So, I mean, just the fact that he was able to put on cleats alone is almost a miracle. The fact that he was able to play and get, meaningful snaps in playoff games is even crazier. Let me just throw it out here. I just traded Cam Akers, and this was right after his first game back. I traded Cam Akers for the rookie 104. Troy, what do you think? Would you rather have the 104 or Akers?
I feel like the rookie 104. So, this is super flex, right?
Yeah, it is. So value's a little bit different there.
Yeah. So I would say in that case, you're looking at guys like
Traylon Burks, Wilson,
so
Breece Hall,
yeah, Isaiah Spiller, Walker. I feel like I like it. Especially I think we'll really know when we figure out the landing spots. Then we're gonna really be like, all right, were you a winner or not? So
right,
we might have to wait on that.
And I think the main reason that I don't want to say scared, but the main reason I just can't go fully on board with Cam Akers is just because Sean McVay has shown us now, throughout his entire time as a head coach, since Todd Gurley left, he won't turn anybody into a workout horse. I don't know if he's like gun shy because of Gurley's injuries or what it is, but we saw Malcolm Brown getting snaps 2 years ago. We saw Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel getting meaningful snaps last year. I mean, I'm just concerned that there's going to be this hot hand approach. So you draft Cam Akers to be your RB1, and then what happens when Darrell Henderson's running hot and he's the starter for a few weeks? I feel like there's just a lot of risk there with Akers, but you can't deny the ceiling. I think what you were saying, low end RB1, RB2 is pretty fair. Now let's go on to a question from our friend Abe at DFS_docket. And he's saying, which free agent receiver changing teams makes the biggest impact? And there really haven't been many so far. I mean, it's been pretty quiet. There's still a lot of wide receivers out there. Victoria, start us off.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, who has even signed? Zay Jones,
Christian
maybe I'm going to
Kirk.
say. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Christian Kirk got that bag.
Oh my
he better
goodness.
he better make an impact for that money.
He's so mad too that everyone's kind of being mean on social media, like the Jags gave up too much, but they did. I mean, you're seeing graphics of like the highest paid wide receivers in this very moment, and he's in what, top 5 or something I've been seeing. I mean,
I got to say, and we can bring this back to the Von Miller. Von Miller came out 6 years, 120 million, and everyone goes, "Oh my god!" And then you find out it's 4 years, 70 million guaranteed, which isn't nearly as bad. And it was the same thing with Christian Kirk. Everybody sees that. What was it, $84 million or whatever? 37 million of that is guaranteed. So less than half of that money is realistic here. So you got to look at the guaranteed money. I'm sure you guys remember that $100 million Donovan McNabb Washington contract from a while back. Yeah, but sorry, go ahead. What receiver made the biggest impact?
I do like Kirk to the Jags. I do like the moves that they've made. It kind of is reminiscent of last year with the Patriots, though, and I'm not trying to. Everyone was so hyped with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and all the free agency moves they made, and it was okay. I mean, they improved, but I kind of don't want to go all in and say, okay, Trevor Lawrence now is gonna, highly improve in that degree. I hope he does, and I think they've made some good moves, but I mean, where realistically do you feel comfortable drafting Christian Kirk for next year? I'm just like, at this point I don't even know, because
6th round, 7th round.
I feel like I'd be sitting there like, and I've got Laviska Shenault PTSD of being like, yeah, everyone keeps saying he's gonna be good. I'll pull the trigger here. I don't know about it. But
Christian Kirk has been good, though. He's a very, very good route runner. I think his problem was his utilization in Arizona. Like, they weren't catering to his strengths. I think that he could be good. And that's the thing is, like, you can say that Christian Kirk is a good player and also say that the Jaguars overpaid a little bit. And I think that's kind of where we're at with this one.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to think of anyone else that's realistically signed. I mean, we're not going to talk about Zay Jones being a fantasy option, right?
DJ Chark.
Yeah.
You got 10 million in Detroit, but
I love DJ Chark.
You love DJ Chark.
But the problem is DJ Chark is a deep ball specialist, and you got a noodle-armed Jared Goff there. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Sun God season, man.
And honestly, I do say, and I've been the guy, I just wrote an article saying that you should trade away Amon-Ra St. Brown. And in that article, I listed a few free agents that I thought the Lions were going to sign. One of those free agents I listed was DJ Chark. And I'd say that, as far as Allen Robinson, JuJu Smith-Schuster, Christian Kirk, all of these free agent wide receivers, I think Chark is the one that actually benefits Amon-Ra St. Brown the most, because they have such different skill sets. DJ Chark's going to be going deep and opening up that underneath stuff for Amon-Ra. So I think that signing actually helps Amon-Ra more than it benefits Chark.
So I guess I'm going to talk about some players that haven't signed yet. You guys already mentioned Allen Robinson. Wherever he lands, I think it's going to make a huge impact. We're not going to talk about Amari Cooper because obviously he got traded. He wasn't technically, a free agent, but they moved him. But one player that I'm very curious where he signs is Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, I believe that because last season he played through a lot of injuries. He came after the season. He mentioned like how he played through injuries. Mm-hmm. Like wherever he goes, he's still a very good player. So I don't know where he's going to sign. And people rumoring him to like the Chiefs or whatever, or maybe Atlanta, wherever Deshaun Watson happens to sign. But Jarvis Landry is somebody where I think wherever he signs, I think his value is going to go up because Jarvis Landry is one of them wide receivers that's always consistent in terms of like production, but he's not a sexy name and nobody's like value him very high. But I'm very curious where he lands.
Well, he kind of got the Odell treatment where like he went to
Yeah.
Cleveland and Cleveland just run. That's all they do there. And it's like people forget that Jarvis Landry is really good. I mean, this man was just like a lock for 900 yards a year when he was playing in Miami. I'm with you. I think Jarvis is a grossly underrated wide receiver. I mean, the dude's just a dog. He gets open and then he breaks tackles when he's got the ball. I love Jarvis Landry, so I can't wait to see where he lands. I guess my answer on this one, though, I'm going to kind of take the cop out, and I'm not going to say a receiver, but Evan Ingram on that 1 year prove it deal. He's the one that kind of flew under the radar with all the big Jag signings. But you got to remember, Doug Peterson now, the head coach in Jacksonville, loves his tight ends. We saw it with Trey Burton. We saw it with Zach Ertz. We saw it with Dallas Goedert. And they already had Dan Arnold. So there wasn't a huge pressing need for a tight end there. And they still went out and they paid Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, he was in a terrible situation in New York, but he's somebody that I could see instantly, being a focal point of that offense. We know that tight ends or young quarterbacks like their tight ends. Doug Peterson also likes his tight ends. It wouldn't shock me if both of those guys, Dan Arnold and Evan Ingram, each see 80+ targets next year.
Ooh, I do love that analysis, Dave. One thing I was thinking when you guys were talking about Allen Robinson. If Allen Robinson landed with the Chiefs, let's say, and finally, exactly, right? And everyone's like, finally, the Chiefs have a competent wide receiver too. His value is going to skyrocket.
No, it shouldn't.
But won't it? Don't you think? People are going to be like, okay, people are arguing on Twitter recently, right? There's just not been a competent wide receiver too in Kansas City, and that's why
the disrespect to Sammy Watkins.
I like DeMarcus Robinson too, and don't get me started on Mecole Hardman. We don't want to go there.
Look, here's the problem with Kansas City, right? It's like it's the argument of Allen Robinson is a talented wide receiver. So you think that the argument's like talent earns targets. So, and we're thinking that let's be honest, there's not a better wide receiver two that's landed with the Chiefs. If let's say it is Allen Robinson, if he goes to the Chiefs, there's no one recent memory who's signed there as the wide receiver two that would be better than Allen Robinson. So is he going to earn targets because of that? Or is it going to be the same old song and dance? So we don't know, right? But
guys,
it's like
we all missed a very important point of this Allen Robinson Chiefs conversation, and Zayra down here in the chat is calling us out.
True.
Matt Nagy is in Kansas City. Allen Robinson is not going to Kansas City. I don't know why I didn't even think about that. And honestly, I was on Adam Rank's show yesterday, and we were talking. He thinks that Allen Robinson might end up back in Chicago because, Allen Robinson's problems were with Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. So now that they have a whole new front office, new coaching staff and all that, and the fact that Allen Robinson hasn't signed anywhere yet, he thinks that they might be able to mend that bridge there and bring him back to Chicago. I think that Allen Robinson is the best wide receiver available. Last year he was hurt and didn't have chemistry with Justin Fields because of the offseason management. But yeah, I think that Allen Robinson is easily still the best wide receiver available, even at age 28.
Oh, I agree. And all the ones remaining, absolutely.
Speaking of remaining wide receivers, our friend Roto Heat Craig is asking us, where's the best landing spot for Jamison Crowder?
Okay.
And this is one, I mean, it seems like every team already has a Jamison Crowder. Like, I mean, we already talked about Jarvis Landry, Jamison Crowder, Spider-Man pointing meme. Are they really that different? Troy, where do you want to see Jamison Crowder land?
There's two places. I would say the Colts, because they don't really have much wide receiver competition there besides Pittman, or everyone talks about them, the Green Bay Packers, man. The Green Bay Packers, think of it, right?
That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
He's a better Randall Cobb.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure Randall Cobb's, I don't know if he's going to be there, but if Randall Cobb doesn't re-sign, whatever, he takes that Randall Cobb role. Yeah, like he's a younger Randall Cobb. He fits in that role. It would be magnifico if you happen to go there.
I like that. I mean, not as a Bears fan, but from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, that would be, you got Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, and then it might be Jamison Crowder, the third best guy that Aaron Rodgers has ever played with.
Oh my gosh.
Victoria, where do you want to see Jamison Crowder land?
How about a place where they have no one left, Atlanta?
Yeah.
If Deshaun Watson happens to go there,
that would be popping.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like wherever Jamison Crowder lands, if it's not, as Troy already mentioned, a crowded wide receiver room, he's going to continue to be a value in in your drafts because he's always forgotten about. I know he wasn't particularly productive with the injuries this year with the Jets and then Elijah Moore coming on, but he was in the last couple of years, always a PPR, a nice PPR value.
I'm going to send some offers after this show. This is really a good point.
Well, Atlanta just made me think of, we didn't talk about Russell Gage. I kind of like him landing with the Bucks. I don't think.
Oh, I love it.
He might be overvalued.
I think I like it early. While Godwin is out, Russell Gage, yes. But when Godwin comes back, that's where it's like, okay, if it's Gronk
he can still put up wide receiver 2 numbers, even with Godwin and Evans like, there.
Godwin, Evans, Gronk, he could do that, right? It's very possible. Again, like he's attached to a very good offense, so it's like you want pieces of that. So, and he's gonna be cheap, so might as well take your dart throws. Yeah.
Russell Gage just feels like a Tom Brady receiver too, right? Like plays out of the slot a lot. He's really physical, doesn't shy away from contact. Like he just seems like a guy that's going to build a strong rapport with Tom Brady. So
Brady gave him a call. He said, "Hey, Russ."
He did actually hit him up. Yeah, he
really?
Yes, I saw that tweet. He was like, "Hey, what up? Come play with us."
Let me put you guys on the spot real quick. A little trivia. How old do you think Russell Gage is?
28.
26.
He's 25, and I was blown away. That is so much younger than you'd expect. Like it seems like Russell Gage has been in the league since I was in high school, but no, the man is 25 years old.
Yo, that's wild.
Next question comes in from our friend Jorge Martin, and he is saying, "What moves would you like your respective favorite teams to do?" I am a Bears fan. Victoria is a Bills fan, and Troy down here is a Dolphins fan. In case you weren't aware, Victoria, start us off. My guess is a 6-year, $120 million contract for Von Miller, right?
Troy, I'm so sorry, honey, baby, sweetie.
Wait, how old is Von Miller again?
AFC East champions 2022 coming
Victoria,
along.
how old is Von Miller again?
So,
we forgot.
He's 32, and this contract takes him well into his 50s that he just signed. So that's great. Also, Stephen A. Smith, we don't care. Okay, we don't care. We're all happy as Bills fans that signing was. So I was depressed today, right? So J.D. McKissic signs with the Bills, and then he's like, skirt. Just kidding, going back to Washington. Kind of sad about that. And then Chandler Jones is kind of the guy that I wanted to land because I believed wholeheartedly our pass rush just needed that leadership and just someone who's going to come in. Right. And so I was just deflated. I'm like, okay, no Chandler Jones. Wasn't even thinking about Von Miller on my radar because it kept being reported that he was going to re-sign with the Rams. So I'm like,
came out of nowhere.
Legit out of nowhere. So that was incredible. And I just think now the Bills don't have too many holes left. I think we'll try to go get a veteran cornerback, maybe Casey Hayward, or trade for James Bradbury. That would be incredible.
Chill. Y'all need that.
we need a man opposite Trey White. We lost Levi Wallace, cornerback, so I'd be happy with that. I think we more likely go cornerback for our first pick in the draft, and maybe hopefully a wide receiver in the draft as well.
Before we get Troy's take here, Victoria, I got to tell you, I looked it up. I thought Russell Gage was 25. He just turned 26. You were right. So awesome call on that. Troy, what move do you want to see the Dolphins make? Besides
every offensive lineman. So Leo Collins from, who was I think he was just released from Dallas. I really want him. So yeah, we just got to beef up that offensive line, right? And then I wanted Miles Jack because we could use some linebacker help. Miles Jack, he signed with the Steelers. But I would say this offensive line, man, this offensive line. And again, I feel like I don't really care if receivers, we could draft them. We just got, Cedric Wilson from Cowboys. And I feel like he was very solid for them. And I think he's going to be a good wide receiver 3 for us. But offensive line, that's really what I want right now.
Yeah.
Can I stop you there? Wide receiver 3 in fantasy or for your team?
For my team.
So who's okay? Obviously we
Parker.
got
Devontae Parker is still the one. He's
Parker
still
and Waddle.
good.
Yeah, I'd put Parker and Waddle both.
Parker is
ahead of
still.
Sid.
Yes. Look, everyone disrespects Devontae Parker. The problem is last year when he was in the game, he was good. He's just hurt all the time, but he's good when he's healthy.
That's kind of what I was alluding to.
I've always said Devontae Parker is Allen Robinson with 2 sprained ankles. That's what Devontae Parker is.
He is. He's pretty much that.
But yeah, I do like that Cedric Wilson signing. I'll just go here. You know, the Bears hoping for the same exact thing. I want them to spend on offensive tackle, and I know everybody right now is freaking out that the Bears don't have a wide receiver 2 behind Darnell Mooney, but I don't want to spend money on any of these guys available. Like I don't. I'd rather draft. We got 2 second-round picks. You know, give me Christian Watson and George Pickens in the second round instead of
so
you know.
nice.
That's what I want. You know, get some young guys on rookie deals that can build some long-term chemistry with Fields. I don't want to be slapping Band-Aids with JuJu Smith-Schuster and some of these other guys available that are
He's
end
only
up getting overpaid. So.
I was just gonna ask how you felt if
Juju's
JuJu
only
came over.
25.
He is, but he's probably going to command $12 to $15 million a year. And I think the
Yeah.
reason he hasn't signed yet is because he's just going to chase the money. And I don't want the Bears to get in a bidding war for somebody like that. You know, I'd rather them spend the draft capital on a guy. And so I'm with you. Same thing as the Dolphins, pretty much beef up that offensive line. And the Bears general manager, I mean, not only was he an NFL offensive lineman, but he's got a track history of rebuilding that Kansas City offensive line multiple times and doing it really well. So I'm hoping that he makes some moves there. Got a question from Zayra in the chat, and he is saying, up to this point, has Gabriel Davis been a winner of free agency? And we just kind of talked about this a little bit. The Bills have not brought in a wide receiver, which means that they must have some faith in Gabriel Davis. Vic, you're the resident Bills fan. How are we feeling about Gabe?
Feeling good for now. I don't think we're gonna leave the draft without any wide receiver investment. I think that's kind of naive to think. As much as I love Gabe and how he came on at the end of the season, it was fantastic. You don't just give the guy the ball 4 times in the end zone and your last playoff game for no reason, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. But that's what's sitting in everyone's head now. As we go through dynasty season and as we get into redraft, his value is likely going to be highly inflated. But to that point, I think we're going to see Cole Beasley leave in the next couple of days. I don't know if Amari Cooper only got, what was it, a 5th and a 6th round pick? I don't even know if we'll get a pick for Beasley.
You won't.
Obviously, his contract isn't as bad. But
he's by.
Yeah.
Trade for
So that's gonna help Gabe too. And I have faith in him stepping up. But we need a burner. We don't have a burner on the team as of right now.
McKenzie.
That's true. That's true. We did re-sign Ken's. That's another reason that Beasley's he's the best. You're so right. But I just don't see how Gabe makes it through this draft upcoming without the Bills investing in another wide receiver. So,
and that'll probably come in the draft is my guess.
Yeah.
We got a few questions left, and then we will start getting to questions in the chat. I've seen a few come through. I also see a lot of people watching this right now on Twitter via StreamYard. We cannot see the questions that you're asking if you're asking them on Twitter. So hop over to the YouTube page, youtube.com/footballguys. Drop your questions in that chat, and we will get to them in just a few minutes. But let's go ahead to the next question from our friend Sam, Swagman95 on Twitter. And he's saying, what is the best landing spot for JuJu Smith-Schuster that is not back with the Steelers? Troy.
It's going to be a cop-out answer, but it's going to be pretty much the same thing I said for Crowder, man.
The Packers.
It's Green Bay. It would make so much sense. It would make so much sense if he landed there. I just can't think of any other spot where I would love him to be more than that. I mean, again, Colts. It's the same, because those are the 2 areas. Those are 2 offenses to me where I would love to see. Granted, the Colts don't have a quarterback yet, so it'd be nice if we knew who their quarterback was. But those are the 2 places to me I want to see free agent wide receiver go. But especially Green Bay. Please get this man in wide receiver 2 for the love of God. Okay.
Yeah, earlier I said Randall Cobb, or earlier I said Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams, but I did leave out Greg Jennings. There was one other pretty good wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers had over his time. But what about you, Vic? I've got one kind of sleeper landing spot for JuJu. Hopefully you don't steal it from me here. Where do you want to see him land?
Ooh, well, I had 3, so should we let you go first?
Mine,
because I want to hear the sleeper, Dave.
I'll throw it out there, and I haven't heard any talks about it so far, but the Rams. I mean, Robert Woods is 29 years old, coming off a torn ACL. Odell Beckham, he looked good last year, but that injury that late in the season, I don't know if either of those guys are going to be ready for the start of And I mean, like, we know this is how the Rams operate. They just throw money. They don't care about draft picks or anything like that. So it wouldn't, I feel like JuJu Smith-Schuster and Robert Woods have such similar skill sets. And Robert Woods, at his age, coming off the injury, we don't know how he's going to bounce back from that. So bring JuJu in, let Cooper Kupp keep doing his thing all over the field, and let JuJu Smith-Schuster kind of, just sit with Robert Woods and learn from him for the next couple of years.
That's an interesting thing.
That'd be crazy. Look, if he signs there, you better clip this. Because I don't see that happening. If it does,
that's my sleeper. That's my long shot.
Okay.
I was thinking the Titans, now that they've released Julio Jones, they've only got AJ Brown there really for their wide receiver one. And they just need some help. They can't go into the season with just AJ Brown and whoever the heck else they have. We're not even going to get into that right now. But I do like him on the Titans. I mean, another team I was thinking of were the Ravens, even the Patriots too. The Pats don't really have. They've got like their.
The Ravens did want him last year.
Stay out of Baltimore. You got my man Shotty B. Don't be messing it up. Rashad Bateman season. Come on.
I know, right? It would be
no.
really crowded and it would stink for fantasy if he landed there. But for real life football, it would be pretty good to be helping Lamar get his passing numbers up again.
Titans are a good call though. I do like the Titans
like the
too.
Titans,
They're desperate for somebody besides AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown can't do it all. Derrick Henry's approaching that age cliff. Yeah, I mean they need something.
What about Raiders? Raiders don't really got anybody.
Hunter Renfrow slander will not be tolerated.
That's the only thing. I don't know how Hunter Renfrow and JuJu Smith-Schuster can coexist in the same offense.
You're right, they're both
slots,
but I mean, like we've seen a beef. We've seen
Antonio Brown and JuJu.
Exactly. Like we've seen similar it's just like, again, I'm just throwing it out there. Like teams that don't have a lot of wide receiver firepower, they probably draft somebody, whoever's the fastest guy in the draft. That's who the Raiders are going to draft. So
are we really going to see another move for that conference? Like everything that's going on there with the Chargers, the Raiders, everybody, we're like,
everyone has to be elite to keep up in that conference.
Part of me just wonders why the Raiders don't just blow it up at this point. I mean, realistically, the Raiders cannot compete with this division, and I know they've got pieces. But
their defense is looking pretty scary now, though.
Stacked. Their defense is stacked.
It is.
They have
to
be.
That division is going to be wild next year. All right, next question comes in from Nick Smithers. Thank you for sending that in via email. And he says, if you had to predict where Deshaun Watson lands, where do you think he is traded? Also, where do you rank him in Dynasty among quarterbacks? Vic, where do you think? I mean, right now, everybody's screaming Atlanta. I don't know if I see it. Where do you think Watson lands?
So let's talk about this Atlanta dark horse coming out of nowhere, right? What reason would he have to pick them? He has his no trade clause.
He has roots. Like he was a ball boy.
He's
there
from Atlanta.
Stuff like
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
But what do they have for him?
What does Cleveland have for him? I don't understand any of these rumors.
Amari Cooper. That's all. And the defense. The defense is okay. And Cleveland's location is sorry.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
At least Cleveland has much more of a put together team. What the heck does Atlanta have to offer him in terms of a backfield, their defense? They've got no receivers besides Kyle Pitts standing in the room alone. I don't know. It would be kind of shocking if he selected that because he has that no trade clause. If he did, I mean, go ahead, Troy.
So I was going to say, to Cleveland, though, we were talking junk about Cleveland. Their offensive line is very, very, he's always had a horrible offensive line. So to me, that would be enticing to go to a team that has an offensive line, running backs, Amari Cooper. So to me, that's why Cleveland would be attractive to him. So that would be more attractive to me than Atlanta. And then obviously it's like the Panthers, and obviously I'll let you finish that. But I'm just telling you why I think Cleveland would be desirable.
Oh no, I don't disagree there. I was gonna say the Panthers. We've been saying that. I think I said that all last year too when I was starting to do my first podcast. How cute! I did like him with the Panthers, and I keep seeing reports that they aren't interested in trading CMC. So if they're keeping that huge piece of their offense. If they're able to keep DJ Moore and the rest of the guys, then he has an incredible. Their defense is on the up and up. They invested heavily in their defense in the draft last year. That's a super enticing spot too. That would be my pick.
Can we just talk about how funny it is that like CMC is the deal breaker for Houston? Like it seems like they want CMC so bad. This team that just traded away DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson just wants to bring another aging, injury-ridden running back on an inflated contract. I mean, Houston just doing Houston things once again. But I don't know. It seems like everyone's saying like Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Browns. Those are the teams that you're hearing. But doesn't it seem like it's always some team out of nowhere? Like when the news finally breaks, it's like, who saw him going here? And that's like always the way it works. So I'm trying not to speculate too much. I mean, I think the Panthers make the most sense given their defense, given the offensive skill players that they have. But it's really tough to speculate. But as far as ranking him in Dynasty, I mean, from the looks of it now, I mean, it looks like he's probably going to avoid suspension, should be playing next year. He's still, just 26 years old? I mean, is he a top 3-5 or a top 3 guy, top 5 guy? Where do you guys have him ranked?
Top 5, I'd say. Because it's
so
Josh Allen, Mahomes,
Kyler, Lamar.
Kyler, Lamar, probably above. Yeah. Herbert, Burrow.
I'm gonna put Watson ahead of Herbert and Burrow. So I've got Watson as my 3 ahead of Kyler and Lamar.
I mean, it's not that crazy. I have him at 5, but and you can make an argument
top
for
5 tier.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I say top 5 tier, but I was just looking at Dynasty rankings yesterday over on Keep Trade to Cut, and somehow Joe Burrow snuck past Lamar Jackson, and now Lamar Jackson is the consensus QB6.
I saw your tweet about that.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't know.
Why.
Yeah, he was in the Super Bowl and Lamar was hurt, and I feel like I say this in every show that I've done for the last 3 years, but recency bias plagues fantasy managers once again. Yeah, get out of here with that. All right, we got an anonymous one came in here. I don't know why they wanted to keep this anonymous, but anyway, anonymously asking us, are you concerned about Antonio Gibson's upside now that JD McKissic is back? Help us out, man.
I can't believe you just did that. So yeah, this was my question. I am anonymous, so I want to hear your guys' thoughts about my honey baby sweetie Antonio Gibson.
So let me point this out because this really blew my mind. I just looked at the splits earlier today. With J.D. McKissic in the lineup, Antonio Gibson averaged 13 fantasy points per game. Without J.D. McKissic in the lineup, he averaged 17 points per game. So we're looking at a 3-point per game difference here. I mean, that's not huge, 3 points per game. And then even with the targets, it was less than 1.5 targets per game, the difference. So I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference. I think what we saw at the end of the season had more to do with Antonio Gibson just being healthy than it had to do with J.D. McKissic not playing. So, I mean, I don't know. We saw Antonio Gibson have a few good games with McKissic there. So I'm not really that concerned. If anything, I'm just using this as an opportunity to buy low. I think Gibson's a stud.
Love that.
I don't think you're going to be able to buy low on Gibson. I feel like people might be a little bit worried, but people are going to be holding tight to their Antonio Gibson thing. But I think I'm just thinking about game script, right? So I think game script is going to have a lot to do with it because we know on third downs, J.D. McKissic is going to be on the field on third downs. We saw that plenty, right? So I think that's the only thing. It's just limiting his passing work. But you know what? He scores a bunch of touchdowns. He's going to be used pretty much on the goal line always. So, and look, I love Antonio Gibson. I'm going to be drafting him everywhere. And again, we always talk about how he was a receiver in college, so why can't they just pass him the ball? And I guess pass pro, I think, been a question for him. I think that's the
J.D. McKissic in the backfield and line Gibson up in the slot on third down. That's what I don't understand.
I know, but I'm saying is Antonio Gibson, work on your pass blocking, bro. Come on, please.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it is. He's not great at it, and I said he could be top 5 last year if he improved that and he was able to stay on the field for those third downs. But they just love they're McKissic. They love J.D. McKissic, you know what I'm saying? So I still love him. I still think he's going to have a fantastic season. But again, Wentz, I don't know.
He's fine. I feel like Wentz is fine. I mean, he's going to throw bad timely interceptions here and there, but I feel like he's just a little bit better than Heineke, right? Like I don't think he's gonna kill them. I just think it's just like he's gonna make stupid mistakes, but overall, I think he's fine.
If anything, I think that Wentz actually gives I'm almost cautious to say this, but a slight bump towards Gibson, just because Taylor, like you said, Taylor Heineke, he had happy feet. And if he wasn't throwing a pick, he was also scrambling with the ball a lot. Where Wentz, ever since his back injury, hasn't really scrambled nearly as much. So Gibson could end up seeing some additional check down work this year that he didn't get as much last year with Heineke. So, I'm not like planting that flag hard here, but I think there is a possibility that he does see a little uptick in early down targets this season. All right, we got 2 questions left, and then we'll go to the chat. And I've got some strong feelings on this one, but we'll have you start us off, Troy. Jeff Jones is asking us, what are your thoughts on Chase Edmonds signing with Miami?
I think this was a very solid signing for Miami. But I want people to be cautious, right? I don't think the Dolphins are done. Like, I don't think that. And because here's the thing, with Mike McDaniels, we're assuming that it's going to reflect somewhat with the 49ers offense. But to me, I don't think it's going to be – Chase isn't going to be used as a workhorse. So I think people should be a little cautious for there. I think they're either going to – I don't see them signing another, like, big free agent running back. There's not really that much out there. But I believe that we're going to draft one. There's – some solid guys in the draft. So I believe they're going to draft one that'll complement Chase, and they're just going to work in tandem, right? I think it's going to most likely be like a 2-back system, but I think he's going to be a good fantasy play. You're going to start him every week. I think Chase is going to be very startable. It's hard. I think it's early to tell, but maybe right now I see him as like a low RB2, like without really knowing what the plan is for him. But after signing, I think low RB2, I think, is where we're at right now. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. It's just, I don't think they're going to. Chase has never been Edmonds has never been used as a workhorse before, so I don't think that McDaniels is going to make him a workhorse. I think just people should be a little bit cautious for there, but he's going to be very viable. And, 49ers offense, like how many catches he's going to get, because I know he's obviously versatile. He's going to catch the ball. I don't know how he's going to be really used out of the backfield. So, yeah, I just want people to be cautious. I'm excited just as a Dolphins fan, but in terms of fantasy, I think he'll be solid, but I don't want people to overhype him. That's all I'm asking.
I want to point this out real quickly, looking at these guys both on Player Profiler side by side. Both of them, and when I say both of them, sorry, Chase Edmonds and Myles Gaskin. They are both A3 picks. They are both 5'9". They are both 205 pounds.
Similar. Exactly.
They both ran a 4.5. I mean, their BMIs are identical. They both have a 30.3 BMI. I mean, they literally just they signed a slower Myles Gaskin. I don't really understand the move at all. I think what's good with Edmonds is he's got experience in a zone blocking scheme, but he just doesn't have the speed. And if McDaniels is going to try and implement the San Francisco 49ers offense there, you need running backs that can get to the edge quickly, hit the hole quickly, and then break away. And, that's why Elijah Mitchell did so well. He's not the most agile or strongest guy, but he's got pure speed. And Gaskin doesn't have that. Edmonds doesn't have that. I don't really understand the signing at all.
Well, here's the thing, though. Mike McDaniel had to go against the Arizona Cardinals twice a year in the division. So he saw a lot of Chase. So there's something about Chase that he was like, you know what? I want to bring you here. So that's one thing that, we got to remember, right? He had to go up against Chase a lot. So I don't know. I feel you. I thought that they were going to go for a faster guy. Like Raheem Morris was always talked about because, again, that speed. Because, the zone scheme, you want some guy, you want the speed to get out to the edges and hit the holes and all that. But so I thought when they signed Chase, I looked up his 40 time. Like, that's the first thing I did. I looked up his 40 time. Yeah. And when I went, when we first signed him, I'm like, that's not as fast as I was expecting. And just seeing him, I didn't think it was like a super fast guy. So I was a little surprised. But overall, I think he's a solid running back. So I'm very curious about what the game plan is for him.
It's going to be Matt Breida. Just wait. Matt Breida. He's got the tie with Mike McDaniel. He's already got the ties to Miami. He's going to come back and blow it up this year.
Honestly, he fits the system perfectly.
Yeah. That would be the speed y'all need.
Let's get to the last question here before we turn it over to the chat. And this one comes in. I don't even know who this came in from. I don't know. I'll just read it off. Can David Njoku and Harrison Bryant exist as tight end ones in Cleveland? I don't know who asked this question. Maybe they
So
wanted to remain anonymous as well.
you can go, Vic. You can answer this first.
Oh, goodness. I think Njoku's stock obviously went up. The Austin Hooper contract never made sense for Cleveland when they had at least Njoku and then Bryant. I never understood the Hooper contract. I'm curious to where he goes, honestly, because that's a big old man. But I think this brings Njoku's stock up. But there's so many question marks right now in terms of we don't know who the heck's going to be throwing the ball quite yet. So Harrison Bryant's probably still going to be, he's probably going to be undrafted and redraft still. And I don't see him coming out of the woodwork. I attribute Bryant to holy moly, I'm blanking, the Chargers tight end. Parham, yeah. It's just kind of that guy who's like gets a touchdown. You're doing a prop bet every week on him, thinking he might get a touchdown kind of thing. But Njoku could be putting up tight end 1 numbers considering they're losing.
He plays out of the slot a ton too.
Yeah,
he's not just a pure tight end.
Exactly. Yeah, the loss of Landry is huge. So for Njoku, I think he'll be a kind of the sleeper tight end everyone's writing about in a couple months for sure.
Yeah, I just get concerned that there isn't enough pass volume there to support 2 tight ends and Amari Cooper. I mean, I think given where I expect these guys to land value-wise in ADP, Njoku is probably going to end up being my most rostered guy between Njoku, Harrison Bryant, and Amari Cooper, just because I think that, like you said, he's got a chance to excel here without Jarvis Landry in the picture anymore. Troy, what do you think? I mean, is there any chance that Harrison Bryant finishes as a tight end 1, or are we just kind of talking Njoku here?
So I'm a Harrison Bryant truther. I like him a lot better if you're in Dynasty or in tight end premium formats. I think Harrison Bryant is a steal in those formats. Turn tight end 1. Look, we know Cleveland runs a lot of two tight end schemes. So obviously there's gonna be a lot of blocking involved. But look, he was using the red zone a lot. Well, not a lot, but he was using the red zone last year. With Bakers, whoever the quarterback is going to be, it's going to be Njoku, it's going to be Harrison Bryant. They're going to be looking at his red zone targets. So obviously they might be touchdown dependent, but it doesn't take a lot to be a tight end 1. So you got to remember that it does not take a lot. Pretty much, if you're a red zone target,
5 or 6 touchdowns,
exactly.
And that's it.
So it's very possible that they could. And again, I'm not saying the numbers are going to be sexy, but I think anything's possible. But we'll see who the quarterback is, and then I'll be able to determine. Most likely, only one of them is going to be, which most likely is going to be Njoku, but you never know.
Well, let's turn it over to the chat. First of all, it is March. I'm surprised that we have any audience at all, let alone the one that we have tonight. But let's start looking at the chat a little bit. And of course, we've got your boy Abe here. And Troy, this question is for you. Where does Will Haffer end up? This is a running joke from last season. Will Fuller, who can never play a full season, has been labeled Will Haffer by Abe. And where do you expect to see him go? I'll take the cop out here and say wherever Watson signs.
That's what I was going to say. Wherever Watson goes, he's the answer.
Yeah. So,
it's going to be a value. I'll tell you right now. Wherever he signs where Watson goes, Fuller's stock is going to skyrocket. He's got to be on the field.
I love this question here. Zayra is asking us, assuming Marquez Valdes-Scantling leaves Green Bay, Allen Lazard as a fantasy wide receiver 2? 14th in yards per target, saw a median of 75% of the offensive snaps in 2021. Allen Lazard, you guys might not know this. He is my most rostered wide receiver in all dynasty formats. I love Allen Lazard. So this question, speaking right to my heart, Z, but what do you guys think? I mean, can Allen Lazard, can he be the number 2 that finally steps up in Green Bay?
He's been building that chemistry with Rodgers over the years. It kind of came on there at the end. They have that connection. But if Bobby Tunyon's coming back, Funyon, gotta remember. If he's coming back healthy, it's going to put a little thorn in his side. But I think he could, I don't know about wide receiver 2 in terms of landing as a wide receiver 2, putting up wide receiver 2 numbers because of that volatility with any receiver not named Devontae Adams. If he stays, let's preface it with that. No. So let's say he stays. It's just it's too hard to predict with wide receiver 2 numbers with the way the Packers move the ball around and all that. I do love his chemistry with Rodgers, though.
I do too. And I mean, I think one of the reasons I like Lazard so much doesn't even have to do with his production. The dude is just a baller. Like, you'll see him 40 yards downfield, sealing off blocks so his wide receiver, can make a play. He just does those little things. He's always commanding attention in the red zone, which makes it easier for other guys to operate. We haven't really seen him fully break out. We've seen some flashes here and there, but if MVS goes, I think that Lazard probably would crack my top 25. If I'm being serious. I mean, heading in next year, if they go in without bringing in JuJu or Allen Robinson or any of these big names, and Allen Lazard is the wide receiver 2 on that team, I'd feel pretty confident ranking him in the top 25.
I feel the same exact way. I think at 24, right there at 24 is where I would feel comfortable. But look, he is 6'5", and that's what you mentioned. He commands a lot of attention in the red zone because he's big as hell. He's pretty much. I always make this joke. I just think he's a tight end. Like, that's pretty much what he is, right? He's not like super fast. He's 6'5". Like, he's just a tight end. But he blocks. That chemistry. And he blocks. Mm-hmm. So he has that chemistry with Rodgers. So yeah, I believe if they don't bring like anyone of significance into Green Bay, then I think it's very fair to say that.
We got one more question in the chat here, and then we will go ahead and sign off. And this one comes in from Jeremy Clark on YouTube. And he says, what about Deontay Hardy when Watson comes to New Orleans? So I don't know if you guys saw this. Deontay Harris changed his name to Deontay Hardy.
I did not know that.
What? No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I just saw this a few days ago. So Deontay Hardy now. How do you feel about him? I mean, is that somebody that you guys are getting excited about?
I was going to ask y'all, like, who is Deontay Hardy? Okay, well, here we go. Deontay Harris. Yes, he's 24 years old. He's a burner. He is fast. He's a very little guy. So that's the problem. He's a very little dude. He's extremely fast. So yeah, like and again, he's a young dude who's explosive. So if he's a starter, then I like him. Again, he's going to be extremely cheap, y'all. So it's like, he's one of those guys where take advantage, right? Whether you're in this dynasty startup, whatever, or if you're in the dynasty, you can probably get him for super cheap now. So throw out offers. So yeah, I like him just because, again, he's not going to cost you much right now. So
is Callaway a free agent? Is he sticking around?
I like both of them.
Callaway, Mike Thomas, Traquan Smith, Alvin Kamara.
That's
my fear, is that Deontay Harris is going to be the 5th or 6th option on this team. I mean, you want to talk about best ball? You want to talk about a late round dart throw that can bust off a 60-yard touchdown, and you can get him in the last round? Yeah, I mean, he can do that, but I think he's going to be the 5th or 6th option on this offense.
What is going to happen with Thomas and also Kamara? Is he going to even be playing with that potential suspension? Oh my gosh, there's so much that's going to impact the season.
That's for another show.
Yeah,
this is probably going to bite me in the butt, and I feel bad even saying this, but Michael Thomas is just nowhere on my radar right now. I mean, everybody keeps saying, go out and get Michael Thomas, buy low, buy low, buy low. I don't want to buy a 29-year-old guy that has not touched a football field in 2 years, has character concerns, has injury concerns. And everyone keeps saying, oh, yeah, his ceiling. Yeah, we saw his ceiling, but that was with Drew Brees. That was a few years ago. I cannot get into Michael Thomas.
Here's the thing. If he's playing, he's going to be really good. I don't have, in Dynasty, I don't have any shares. In redraft, I'll take him all day because, but it's just you're right. It's just so many unknowns. We haven't seen him in so long. So we forgot, but if he's healthy and playing, then yeah, he's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. So,
well, I think that's it. We did it. Made it through all the questions on the show sheet. Made it through the chat. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the first episode of the 2022 season for the Football Guys Mailbag Show. You can catch us on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. immediately after the NFL draft, where we will be breaking down some of the landing spots. Getting excited. The last few weeks there wasn't really too much going on, but now with free agency, the draft coming up, OTAs are going to be here before we know it, and it is going to be football season in no time. So I want to remind everybody that if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/footballguys, and we will see you in a couple weeks.